I will call to order the Ottawa City Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 12th, 2026. May I have roll call, please?
Absolutely. Mayor Clayton,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley,
Present.
Commissioner Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Skidmore, Commissioner Van Layden,
Present.
Okay, we have 4 of the 5 here, so we have a quorum. I want to welcome everyone here in the audience, as well as the students who are here and sat in the front row. Thank you guys for being here. And witnessing this, it's super exciting. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Pastor Nathan Mudd of Ottawa Community Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pray with me. Lord, who may reside in your tent? Who may settle on your holy hill? It is the one who walks with integrity and practices righteousness and speaks truth in his or her heart. And the one who does such things will never be shaken. And so we come to you asking for wisdom and this ability to walk with integrity. And for our city commissioners and city staff, I say thank you, not just for them, but for their families, for all that is represented in this room. And I say thank you for the meetings they attend, the work that they do on our behalf, such servant leaders. And so continue. Would you give them integrity, uprightness of heart, to speak truth, and to do so in such a loving and caring way. So we commit this time to you, asking for your blessing in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. That'll take us to item 6, public comments.
There are 2 registered.
Okay, I'll read this and then we'll get started on that. Subject to the above restrictions, persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items on the agenda may do so as that agenda item is called. Persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items not on the agenda and that are under the jurisdiction of the City Commission may do so at this time when called upon by the mayor. Comments on personnel matters and matters pending in court or with other outside tribunals are not permitted. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Any presentation is for information purposes only. The governing body will take comments under advisement. Who do we have first?
Scott Yargan.
Welcome, Scott. If you can state your name and your address. No, you're good.
I'm Scott Yergin, 3332 Rock Creek Road, Ottawa, Kansas. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Oh, here. Okay.
That's okay.
So, the subject is light field again. I spoke last week. I referenced in that handout the Talbert Lightfield's, Andy Talbert's video conference with the commission on December 17th, 2025. Talbert said the driving issues for Lightfield are power and water. He said, we'll bring our own power and bring our own water. I say in the handout, he can't bring his own water literally. He says we need 3 million gallons a day to power these gas turbines. The city of Ottawa, a resident in 2023, an average resident of Ottawa used 116 gallons of water a day. Lightfield's water needs will supply the municipal water needs for the city of about 26,000 people. The surplus available water, according to the Kansas Water Office water program in Melbourne is 959 acre feet, and Pomona 849 acre feet. Those sums do not total Lightfield's needs. Further,
Scott, could you get in front of the microphone a little more? Thank you.
Sorry. Have you been able to hear me? So, thank you. So the surplus water in Melbourne and Pomona cannot meet Lightfield's needs. Further, there are some standards that need to be met. Those surplus waters need to be in the best interest of Kansas, and they need to meet the Water Resources Planning Act. I think neither the city nor Lightfield have demonstrated that both those needs will be met. I thank you for your time. I think I'm learning to become a public speaker with your patience and smiles. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And did you get a copy to the city clerk of what you had written down for the minutes? Your note, you did get a copy. Okay. Just wanted to make sure they got a copy for minutes and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really thanking you guys for this public comment section. Some of us are not natural speakers like you geniuses.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Brooke Sheets.
Welcome. If you can state your name and address.
Sure. Brooke Sheets, 1409 South Elm, Ottawa. Good afternoon, commissioners. Today I wanted to address you guys about Lightfield as well as any other data center that we have waiting in the wing. I am a environmentalist and activist at heart. I love being out in nature. That is one of my favorite places. And honestly, that's what brought me back to the Midwest. I've been a resident of Ottawa for a majority of my life. I recently just returned with my family after living on the East Coast for nearly 9 years. We chose to return to Ottawa for many reasons, but primarily it was for the green open spaces, the clear blue skies, and the small town community that you feel when you get knowing that your neighbors have your back. I wanted to raise my kids in the same community that I grew up in, knowing that they would be safe, knowing that the community that they would grow up in would also have their back. Recently, I've discovered that there might be some things that we don't know happening behind closed doors. As an active voter and full well knowing that our commissioners hold these seats to lead our community in a positive direction, as well as be the voice of the citizens, I believe that there's something glaring and very dystopian about the decisions that are being made that will affect our lives and the environment for generations to come. I don't stand before you lightly. I do think that this is a very poignant time, and not just our generation, but for the generations that will affect to come. I believe that the time that we have before us is to be met with serious thought and planning. These decisions that will become have began back in December of 2025, and yet we have yet to hear hardly anything out of this body. And I think that that's causing a lot of miscommunication, a lot of misinformation. After last week's meeting, a group had started on Facebook. And so that's why I've come to speak in front of you, because I think that it should be your task to get in front of this before the community starts spreading their own information. The future of our community, my business is an entrepreneur on Main Street, my children's future, all of this is on my mind as I speak to you today. Many small towns and communities in Kansas are facing the consequences of the legislative bill, State Bill 98, that is allowing 20 years of state tax exemptions. Why is it that billionaires and billionaire daughter companies are continually being bribed into development deals with incentives that hurt the interests of the communities that they build in? We've all seen what happened when Walmart came into Ottawa. It killed our downtown. We had so many empty spots. And yet, as I've been told, they still don't pay taxes. They own that property and they use that property, but they don't pay taxes. And so they've been grandfathered into something that they've not been able to hold to account. They would just threaten to leave town. So before we consider this deal, there's a few things that I would like to urge you to look into. Was a population health study performed before entering into this contract? Has an ag impact study been done? Was any reference with the Kansas Geological Survey done? Because in western Kansas, the aquifers have been said that in a minimum of 25 years, they will have their minimum thresholds met. So I think that this is a very poignant time for you guys to step forward and actually hold an informational meeting. And I just urge you to do that before this really catches fire. Because other communities in the areas, I can definitely see like the emotion starting to withhold. And I would hate to see, our people and our population breed from that with the misinformation that's out there. Thank you for your time today. I really respect what you have to do to hold this office, and I urge you to act swiftly before the community acts on your behalf.
Thank you, Brooke. And thank you for bringing your family back to Ottawa. Are there any other public comments?
No, there are not.
Hearing none, that'll take us to item 7 on the agenda, appointments, proclamations, recognitions, and nominations. Item 7A is a proclamation recognizing May 10th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week. The proclamation acknowledges National Police Week, first established in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy and a joint resolution of Congress. National Police Week serves to honor law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. Chief Adam Weingardner will accept the proclamation on behalf of the Ottawa Police Department, and the proclamation will be read by Commissioner Van Leeten.
Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, about 14% are women, including the dedicated members of the Ottawa Police Department. And whereas, on average, 56,000 law enforcement officers are assaulted each year, resulting in 17,220 injuries. And whereas, since the first recorded death in 1786, over 27,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and died in the line of duty, including Captain Robert C. Cowden of the Ottawa Police Department, who died in 1963. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas nearly 400 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 109 officers who died in the line of duty in 2025, and whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2026 in Washington, D.C., and on the evening of April 30th, 2026 at the State of Kansas Law Enforcement Memorial in Topeka, Kansas, and whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which takes place this year on May 10th to the 16th, 2026. Therefore, be it resolved that the City Commission formally designates May 10th to the 16th, 2026 as Police Week in the city of Ottawa, Kansas, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Signed the 6th day of May 2026 by Mayor Zach Clayton.
Want to talk first or picture first?
We can do picture first. There were some killed officers, but they got sent to call back before the meeting.
You're right in the middle. Yep, we got to even it out. Anybody?
Thank you, Mayor and fellow commissioners, for that wonderful proclamation recognizing this week as National Police Week. I'm honored to serve with this department, to serve with these fine individuals in the room today, and all of those that have come in before us, including Captain Cowden, who paid the ultimate sacrifice in his service to our community. And sometimes that service doesn't happen here. Captain Cowden was working and responded to a request for assistance from the Garnett Police Department when their community suffered riots during an annual car show event. And it was during that time that he responded down there and suffered a medical emergency and passed away. And when somebody calls for help, we go. We needed help a couple weeks ago. We had a lot come, and we needed it. I'm so thankful for the support we have from the community, from all of the city staff, the city workers, our officers, our professional staff. Our police and fire chaplain and his group is here in the back room as well for their support, and knowing that their prayers always are for us and give us the strength to go out every day to do this job. Master Police Officer Larry B. Alexander is currently in Washington, D.C. at some of those events. Him and a group of Kansas bicyclists went out to Washington, D.C. and are riding 250 miles in what's called the Ride for the Fallen to honor those that have paid that ultimate sacrifice. Those events in Washington, D.C. are certainly a humbling experience, and know that there are so many families affected by the loss and that ripple effect that hits communities forever. And if there's anything we can do to prevent that loss of life, then that's certainly something we want to do and always work to achieve. We did have staff in Topeka for the state capitol candlelight vigil as well. And then that week, I couldn't go because of some work-related matters here, but we did have a contingent there. And then just a few weeks later, at the annual Kansas Association of Chiefs of Police Conference, there was what's called the Valor Award Banquet. And that's where statewide awards are given. And the Valor Award is the state award for those that have paid that ultimate sacrifice. And unfortunately, the state of Kansas, they gave out 4 awards that night. I've been going to that conference for a long time. That's the most I've ever seen in one year. 2025 was a challenging year for Kansas law enforcement. We lost 4 officers in line of duty. We came close here too, and I hope that never happens again. And I'll do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen. So thank you. Thank everyone who's here today supporting us. Thank you for your thoughts, your prayers, your gifts, your cards, everything to help support our officer in his recovery. And we know that you stand behind us as we go out and try to protect and serve this community every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, staff, and everyone who's able to be here, and for all that you guys do. And as you mentioned, we had an incident in the last few weeks that puts this into so much more perspective. Sometimes 1963 to most of us probably seems so far away, but this last couple of weeks kind of reminds us that it can happen anytime, any day. And so thank you for all that you guys do. And obviously, the sheriff's department as well, with the same things that they put themselves in the line of duty. Having a friend who is on the memorial in DC,
Yes.
it's a beautiful place, but it's sombering to see that many names etched into the granite there. And so, hopefully in time we can have a couple of years where we don't add any. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you to your staff, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item 7B is recognition of outgoing Planning Commission member Lantis. Recognition of outgoing Planning Commission member Lantis for his service, dedication, and contribution to the city of Ottawa. We will have City Manager Motti present.
Mayor and Commissioners, invited Cal Lantis here tonight to celebrate and honor his close to 16 years of service to the Planning Commission. So that, like many city boards, is often a thankless job, a lot of late nights, a lot of long hours, and he's been a part of the development of our community throughout that time. So just want to thank and honor him for his service, and hope he enjoys the extra free time. So if you want to come up tonight, Mayor Clayton has a
We
plaque
got a
for you.
plaque for you.
Voting is yours. Oh, no, you don't know me well enough to give me.
Thank you, guys, every one of you. It's been a pleasure to have a part in the development of our community over 16 years, and I would encourage all of you that are in this room and anybody else you know to get involved. Don't be the ones that sit there and complain unless you get involved. There's a very good speech by Theodore Roosevelt where he talks about don't be critical if you don't get in the ring and get dusty and dirty. And so anyway, I'd like to see you all become a part of our community as far as leadership and going on down the road. So again, it's been an honor, and I thank you all.
Well, thank you. And I just want to thank you as well, Cal. For 16 years, you think about the projects done in the community that you have been a part of, seeing plans of and going through reviews and everything. And so it's a testament to you and the community as well for your years of service. So thank you.
Yeah, look at the impact you made. Look at all the people here tonight to see
Yeah.
you. And now that you've made your speech, some of them are leaving.
That's,
So
yeah. Thank you again. That'll take us to item 8, our consent agenda, which includes minutes from the May 6th, 2026 regular meeting, minutes from the July 30th, 2024 Accessibility Advisory Board meeting, minutes from the April 15th, 2025 Accessibility Advisory Board meeting, minutes from the March 4th, 2026 Accessibility Advisory Board meeting, 2026 reappointments to boards and commissions.
motion to approve.
And do we need agenda approval on there? I don't see it listed. Okay,
Yep.
we'll probably add, and agenda approval.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 9, declaration. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider issues impartially. Hearing none, we will skip item 10, unfinished business, as we have none. Item 11, new business. 11A, board interviews for Ottawa Memorial Auditorium Board. Our first interview is Angela Christofferson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome. I don't know if you've seen how we typically interview for these
Oh,
boards.
I don't.
Okay, it's pretty scary, so be ready.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
I'm terrified. Terrified,
we'll have-
shaking in my boots.
We'll have some questions to go around and ask, but first, do you want to introduce yourself and say anything you'd like to say?
My name's Angela Christofferson. I've lived in Ottawa since 1992. If you know this little short guy on the end, my first husband was partners with him at the Gun Guys. So a lot of people still recognize me as Marty Farrell's widow. But raised 3 kids in Ottawa. I was in charge of the Girl Scouts for Franklin and Anderson County for years. I am the treasurer for First Southern Baptist Church. And I've been looking to get back involved into community now that I have a little more time. I love this town. The difference between something in Kansas City and something down here in Ottawa is humongous as far as the people caring.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your interest. We'll start with some questions. Commissioner Pro Tem Crowley, would you like to ask the first question?
Angela, thank you for pointing out Commissioner Van Layden, because some of them actually could not see him.
Probably
so-
didn't.
It is hard to see him. It is
Yes,
very,
yes. This was a little high, sorry.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to apply and want to give back to your community, because we certainly appreciate that, so thank you. Tell me about some changes or improvements that you'd recommend to the city regarding the auditorium.
You know, I honestly cannot think of anything right now as far as what we could do to improve it. It has been continuously improving and just keep moving up and onward on the improvements. I read that we have a grant for the kitchen. And that looks like a great opportunity to cling on to. And it's just doing great.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. No. Commissioner Van Leeden?
How do you think the auditorium serves the needs of the citizens of Ottawa?
Well, let's see, they host, just went to it, McGruff Club. We have great community events on Thursday night, the third Thursday night of the month. They do the musical bingo downstairs, brings in a lot of people. All types of events, music. I love live music. So all types of music that they bring in, and we've been to several of the concerts. I've volunteered at a few of them. Hopefully, I'll be up to volunteering for more of them soon.
Thank you. Commissioner Allen?
What specific skills, qualifications, and experience can you offer to the board?
I am a good data entry person. I'm also good at serving. I'm good at hands-on, working, helping wherever I can. But that's basically, I'm really good at data entry though.
Noted.
Thank you. For the advisory board, what role do you see that serving for the auditorium in their future?
Well, looking to, I did kind of look to see who all was on the board. And I guess Tiffany works for the auditorium, not, but I think she does a great job, by the way. I don't know.
That
It would have to be something that I would learn on the run.
sounds great. And I will say before, as a shameless plug, even if you do not get the spot, they will take you as a volunteer.
Oh, yeah,
know
I
you
volunteer
said
there.
volunteer twice, and she.
Yeah, I volunteer there. As soon as I'm recovered from this last surgery, a few people, I had a back surgery, L4, L5, S1 a week ago.
Oh. Well, it's great seeing you up and about. We typically have two questions that we like to ask, or especially if you're going to be on potentially the OMA board. And first, it would be, what is the favorite concert or event you've attended there? And second, if you were able to have a blank check and a limited amount of money, who would you bring to OMA?
Well, I don't think George Strait could fit in there. But I used to be a regular attendance when Ottawa Opry was there. But I really have had a lot of fun at the Styx concert the other day. Styx and Doobie Brothers cover bands.
Yeah. Thank you. I think George Strait would be great if we could.
I
get
do
it. So,
too. Yeah, I got to go to Vegas to see him for my 50th birthday.
we've heard a lot of Taylor Swift, so this is the first George Strait we've heard. So we'll take that.
Oh God.
Well, thank you, Angela. Do
All
we
right.
have any other questions? I think
Thank you.
that is it. Thank you. Okay, that'll take us to item 7A2, board interview for Ottawa Memorial Auditorium with Mike Wilson.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commission.
We'll do the same thing with you if you want. If you want to give us a little spiel about yourself, then we'll jump in.
Hopefully that I'm talking into the microphone. First, I want to thank Angela for going first since I got to hear all the questions and now I know how to go with that. I'm Mike Wilson. I've lived in Ottawa the last year. I just moved here last December, but I've been working for the city of Ottawa for the last 9 years. I used to work at American Eagle years ago, so I've had some time here in the city. And, I just want to give back to the city as well. With that, my time being here, this is a great city to be in. It's not too country. It's not too city. You got that perfect mix where you do have some things that you can go do. I moved here from Garnett, and they literally fold the sidewalks up at 4 p.m. and there's not a lot to do. And then we have things like the OMA that's accessible to us and other venues that we can go to and just enjoy the evenings. So that's one of the reasons why I want to be on the Ottawa Memorial Board.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate we've heard so many people mention how great Ottawa is tonight as they've interviewed. So thank you for those shameless plugs.
Well, I was a military brat, spent time in the military myself. I've been all over the country, so I think I have a good idea on some experiences of different cities. This is probably one of the better ones that I've ever lived in. So.
Well, that's great. Thank you. And thank you for your interest to serve. We'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Crowley.
Mike, thank you for being here tonight and taking the time to apply to be on the board. I certainly appreciate the comments also that you've made about the city of Ottawa, but you deserve those comments too because of you are part of Ottawa. So, take some kudos for yourself also. So, tell me about some changes or improvements that you'd see that the OMA needs to make.
So that was probably one of the most difficult questions. Without actually being a part of the board right at this time, I don't know what they have going on and what they're looking at doing. I know that our population, a lot of people believe that we're an older community, but our 65 plus community is only about 20%. But a lot of what what OMA offers is geared more towards our senior community. I'd like to see some more things offered to our younger community. We have quite a few of those members in here right now. And if we could get something for them and just get a more even mix to suit our entire population.
Great, thank you. And I think if you get that position and you sit on that board, you'll see that there's a lot of conversations that they already are having about that problem. So thank you.
Commissioner Van Leeden?
So how do you think the auditorium serves the needs of the citizens of Ottawa?
Arts and entertainment's always been a big part of making sure that you have a well-rounded staff, or not staff, but community. You take the arts and entertainment away and then you just have worker bees. And so you have to give that to the people. Also, another big thing is it brings in tourists. It brings in those monies that's not falling solely on your taxpayers.
Thank you. Commissioner Allen?
What specific skills, qualifications, and experience can you offer the advisory board?
Well, if there's ever a fire, I can help them put that out. So I do a lot of office work in my role as the risk reduction coordinator. So the data analysis, pulling up, doing research on different statistics and things and looking at, where they're meeting their needs and how where are we lacking at, and just fresh ideas. Someone that's been from outside the community a while and seeing other options, just bringing those ideas forward.
Thank you.
For the auditorium, what role do you see the advisory board serving kind of related to its day-to-day operations?
I think it's in the name, advisory board. We're just there to give ideas to the OMA, and just sometimes as an individual, you can kind of get tunnel vision and focus on one thing, and bringing in other people to give ideas. Tiffany's one person, and although she is involved in a lot of things, the rest of the people on the board also have other friends outside that they may say, "Hey, have you ever thought about this?" And you can bring that forward.
Thank you.
Mike, can you tell me what the Wheat State Fools are?
The Wheat State Fools,
Yeah.
absolutely. So the Wheat Fools is the Fraternal Order of Leatherhead Society. It's an organization of go-getter firefighters that just are very passionate about the job. They were the Fools itself was started in Florida bunch of firefighters sitting around the table talking about wanting more training and to be more knowledgeable. That just exploded. Wheat State Fools is an organization that I'm a member of, and we're based out of Lawrence. But we have firefighters from Salina into the Kansas City area. There's at least one from Nebraska, and we go all the way down in close to Oklahoma. And although I think it's the greatest job in the world, it's a very small percentage of firefighters that believe that, just 2 to 3%, and we're bringing them together and coming up with ideas on how to make things better for firefighters. And Chief Weingartner was talking about the safety of the police officers. We also bring that into our conversation on how can we improve our training to make sure our people go home every day.
Thank you. I love the passion that you have for firefighting, and if you could bring any of that to OMA, you'd be a great addition to that board.
Thank you.
And Mike, you had mentioned that you got to hear the questions before.
Yeah.
So do you know the next two that are coming? I get.
If I can remember back, but
So what is the favorite either event or concert that you've attended at OMA? And if you had an unlimited amount of money, who would you bring to OMA?
So I always give Tiffany a bunch of grief because she seems to plan all the concerts I want to go to when I'm on duty. One I really wanted to go to was the Red Hot Chili Pipers, and I didn't get to attend. So Taps and Tunes was a very fun event. I love that and look forward to going again next year. As far as who I would bring, I don't think my style of music would go over very well in Ottawa. But I would have to agree with Angela to say George Strait would be a good one.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you for your interest in serving. And we'll discuss, and I know they will reach out and let you guys both know what decisions we make. And I mean, if you want to stick around for that, you're welcome to as well. But we appreciate both of you guys and your interest in serving. And I know Tiffany will probably reach out to you either way to let you know she's got some stuff she can use you for. So thank you, Mike. Would we prefer, with a rather packed agenda, discuss appointment now or wait till towards the end of the agenda?
No preference.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, let's go ahead and do it now so we can let them get out of here. Unless we want to wait for Commissioner Skidmore, any of his input, him missing that.
I don't think his opinion would change anything, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think they're both a good fit for our OMA board.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
I know, I'm like, I wish I could give up my seat for somebody else to be able to volunteer.
Well, I thought you
but-
meant this one.
Oh, no, not, well, I mean, if they want this one too, their answers were pretty good, so they could take this one too if they want.
I agree. I think both would be fantastic. I appreciate both of them having the willingness, the availability time-wise. Mike, obviously, with his career and his job, depending when he's on shift, they do have a lot of free time, but obviously days that they are not free, they are not free. And I think that was important to mention, looking into programming that is suited for other folks. And I know OMA, I think, has been doing a great job the past several years at doing more of that with getting things for youth and stuff and some of those younger crowds, as he had mentioned. Does anyone have a direction that they are leaning?
I'll make the motion. We approve both Angela and Mike for the OMA board.
I think we
We
only
only
have
have
one.
one opening.
Oh, hold on. Oh, it is. Sorry.
applicants,
Let's
one
put them both on.
Yeah.
That's why I said I'd
That's
give
the
up
more
my
the merrier.
seat for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Commissioners, you can always appoint one, and then we can keep in mind the runner-up at the top of the list for the next time around. We'll make note of it, so.
And do we know when the next expiration of a term is?
I don't have the answer in front of me to.
Next, okay, so annually. So that changes it a little bit. There's one spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Two
Laura,
applicants,
you
so-
wouldn't happen to know if are there any openings on the Friends board? Okay. Sarah's
Sarah.
saying no.
Interesting.
There might be one. That would maybe be a good solution,
Yeah.
for whoever didn't get chosen for this, maybe they would be interested in the Friends of the OMA board to help out that way. Both are very active and
Yeah, the Friends Board's really active.
Well, as has been said, I think both would be, an excellent addition to either of the boards. This would stand for a motion for either of them to serve, and obviously we would hope staff would communicate our desire for whoever does not get on this board to look at if there is an opportunity with the Friends Board as well. We'd like, we can table it and
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we could think,
we
if I
can-
could
yeah,
think about it for a
we
little
can
longer,
come,
maybe.
we can
next
come back,
week.
yeah, we can revisit before the end of the agenda. If that works. Sorry to make you wait a little longer. You're fine, it's budget season, so you'll be
Yeah.
here. It probably won't.
neither will the groans
Yeah.
we heard from the audience
Yeah.
when it said it was budget season.
Well, thank you both as well. That'll take us to item 11B, which is first quarter 2026 community partner reports. We can start with Ottawa Library first. You were second in the agenda, but you jumped up so fast, we'll let you go first.
I'm actually first on that part of the agenda.
Oh, okay.
I
See,
know I
that's-
was on the written agenda, but on that one it says me. But thank you very much for allowing me to give a quarterly report for the Ottawa Library. First quarter was a very busy quarter for us. We hosted and I'll just list a few things that we did. We hosted a movie with the Plaza 1907 Cinema. We had biz jockeys on KOFO radio. We purchased new browsing baskets for patrons to use at the library. We supported our 2026 O-Town Reads book, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, with several community book discussions, programs, and a magical evening with Adam Brown, who is a motivational speaker and magician. We closed the reference department and moved staff and services downstairs because of HVAC renovations. We reopened the reference department and moved staff back upstairs, so that was exciting. During spring break, we were involved in fun partnerships. We did a partnership with OMA for bingo. We did a partnership with the Ottawa Main Street Association for an ice cream social. And we also had a teen after hours and several story times and other activities at the library. Then we moved out of the basement, moving staff with some staff moving to reference and service moving up to reference department. We had staff who do our programming and covering our materials who moved to our Walnut Street location. A few of our staff members moved home to work, again, because of HVAC renovation in the basement. We also received a $10,000 gift from the Carnegie Corporation of New York in celebration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. They actually decided to write a $10,000 check to any Carnegie library still in existence. We did not have to be in existence in our original building, just still in existence. We will be moving our staff back into the building and back downstairs in the basement. We've started that process. We hope to complete that process next week and open downstairs again to the public. I want to thank Paul Summer, Dennis Hadel, and the city and the BCI Mechanical for all their work on the HVAC renovation. I can't say enough about how wonderful it was to work with Paul and BCI Mechanical in this process. I also want to say thank you to the library staff and to our patrons as well, as they were patient with us throughout this whole process. And then recent happenings at the library. We had a Littles event at OMA with What If Puppets as part of the Franklin County Children's Literature Festival. Last week on Wednesday, we actually had our main event at Ottawa University with 8 presenters, and we had approximately 1,000 children at each of those events for Franklin County. And now we are busy planning summer reading programs. Our theme this year is Unearth a Story. We will kick off that big summer reading activity on Wednesday, May 27th from 2 to 4 out in the parking lot. And if patrons need help with Beanstack, which is the app that we use for our summer reading, I encourage them to stop by and let us help them with that application. So, any questions?
Well, thank you, Director Chartier. That was a lot of stuff that you guys have accomplished in the first quarter. It's amazing having 1,000 kids at those events. And as you talk about summer reading, it feels like it should be a way off, but it's crazy. Next week at our meeting, it will already be summer break.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're already there. Do you have an idea? Have you guys seen with the construction and the moves and all of that, a drop in number of patrons, checkouts? Have you kind of seen the effects of that?
I haven't really looked at the numbers because we keep track of how many people come in and out of the library, and I have not looked at that. I will tell you that we did move everything up to the reference area so people could still check out items, still put items on hold and come in and pick up those items. We also ran a lot of our programs out of the Walnut Street location, and I know they were very busy with programs over there. So I hope there wasn't a huge drop. I do know that a lot more people learned how to put books on hold, which is a great result of that happening. Also, a lot of people downloaded our Aspalita app, which you can go online and put books on holds and renew your items. And so that was also great. And Hoopla picked up business during COVID, and I'm sure that because of this, a lot more people signed up for the use of Hoopla.
I'm sure. Well, thank you for all that you guys do. And
Thank
it
you.
feels so much better in here. You mentioned the air conditioning. I think a year ago on a day like today, what it would probably feel like in here.
Yes.
And it feels much better. Do we have any other questions for Director Chartier? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That'll take us to item 7B2, Ottawa Main Street Association, and Director Stauffer.
Good afternoon, commissioners and mayor. It's hard to believe that we're already here for first quarter. Thinking of our events, I don't know that we have a downtime for Main Street, and looking at our calendar for events, we have kicked off our third Thursdays. They run April through October. That is late night shopping, and we also have done in April a corner cleanup and planting, and had a great turnout of volunteers for that. We did our second annual Easter egg hunt where we had about 16,000 Easter eggs, confetti downtown, and seeing the community turn out for that is always wonderful. We turned around and had a travel blogger in town, and we should later today be seeing the blog post out on that. The feedback from businesses have been good, and she was welcomed with warm arms in town, so it's great to see that. We also have completed our third Piccadilly successfully, and could not have done that with all the volunteers that we had to do that. Today, I also was kind of a reflection day. I had Main Street America in town, as well as Kansas Main Street directors in town, and we were looking at our transformational strategies that we set last year, about a year and a half ago, of what we're working towards in this community and what came back from our survey. We still are standing as the top response turned in from nationals of having over 900 responses on our survey. So that's still, they make comments on that. So that's good. Our focus is a college town, getting in cooperation from OU and what we're doing to work together with that partnership. And then also community hub and what we're doing for the community as far as where our events are coming from, but also bringing the registers of our businesses downtown and making sure that we have a good balance in those events. I would say that today was a good reflection, though, of where we've come as an organization and those partnerships that we formed along the way. Terry mentioned the ice cream social that we did in partnership, and the different things that we do with historical walking tours, and even with the chamber, the OMA. There's all kinds of partnerships that have been formed along the way, and I'm grateful for those. The partnership with the city has done nothing but grown, and the communication back and forth has been huge. So thank you guys for that. We do have a busy schedule going forward. We have on third Thursdays, of course, going forward, but then we also have upcoming events of June 27th is going to be a busy day. We have pedals and pastries as we're leaning into the trails downtown and a community family fun bike ride. We are also in partnership with hopefully the Guinness World Record holding of the longest consecutive soccer kicks from Osawatomie to Ottawa on June 16th. And then also on June 27th, we'll be releasing out here soon a Tailgate to the Cup tailgating event that we're going to host. And then followed up, because we love our entertainment in our community, on July 11th, we'll be having Villains Dance downtown as a street dance. That's all I have at the moment.
Well, thank you, and thank you for being here. You'd mentioned, the first quarter, it is a little harder to have community events sometimes in January and February on Main Street, but, being a part of and seeing all that you guys do with the corner cleanups and, being a part of that and helping with the plants and everything like that, it's just amazing to kind of see behind the curtain, and then all the community partnerships. It's great to see, and there's a lot of exciting stuff coming this summer. So we're excited to see more of that. Do we have any other questions or comments for Main Street? I think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that'll take us to item 11C, public hearing to consider taxable industrial revenue bonds and ad valorem tax exemptions for Sunflower Plaza Tower project. The public hearing will allow invested persons the opportunity to comment on the proposed issuance of taxable industrial revenue bonds for the Sunflower Plaza Tower project. Director Landis will present.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I do want to let you know that we have Kevin Cowan of Gilmore and Bell here as our bond counsel and part of our ownership group here with Andrew and Matthew Danner to answer any questions that you might have about the project itself or the process. Our recommendation is that you hold the public hearing, and then at the close of the public hearing, we'll have a resolution, which is next item on your agenda for consideration. Do you want to open the public hearing before we present comments?
Sure. Okay, I will open the public hearing for the consideration of taxable industrial revenue bonds and ad valorem tax exemptions for Sunflower Plaza Tower project at 4:52.
Thank you. All right, a little bit of background here. So we have received an economic incentive application for the renovation of 701 South Poplar Street, which is Sunflower Plaza Tower Apartments. The owner is Ottawa Sunflower LLC, and the request is for an industrial revenue bonds that would include a tax abatement as well as a sales tax exemption. The project itself is a complete renovation of that apartment complex. It holds 60 units. It is specifically senior housing with income requirements. The building itself is in need of the improvements. The group has also applied for low-income housing tax credits. So this is in addition to, that would be separate, I guess, and aside from what's being asked here. The part of the industrial revenue bond piece is the request for the property tax abatement. And this is a 10-year annual payment. The abatement itself is for the property taxes to be abated, but then the group would pay in a payment in lieu of taxes of $40,000 per year. So a little bit of explanation there. Their annual property taxes, because they are a LIHTC supported facility, or have been in the past and then will be again in the future, is their property taxes do tend to average somewhere around this amount. paying in a level amount of 40,000 annually does help them with their confidence level for their investor group that's required for their LIHTC and just overall investor group and their confidence of not having to make increased payments over time. So essentially what happens is instead of it being a 100% abatement, it really equates to 4% or less, depending on what the annual tax amount might be for the project. That amount annually can fluctuate up and down depending upon the number of renters, the amount of revenue, the expenses that they incur. So over time, as they have more maintenance, those tax amounts can change. So with the pilot agreement, again, it's 4% or less for annually impact to all of your taxing agencies. And the second half of the IRB is the sales tax exemption request. This is a total renovation cost of approximately $10.7 million. It includes the painting, window replacements, lighting upgrades, HVAC upgrades, repairs to the sidewalks and parking lots, and other related site improvements. So for any of those costs that are related to the renovation itself, or anything that they have to purchase, actual hard costs of materials for that renovation, this would exclude them from having to pay sales tax on those materials. The bonds themselves would be for no more than $8 million, and that's what the resolution is written for. The total project cost itself is roughly $10.7 million. We did do a cost benefit analysis for the entire ask, which is both the property tax abatement and the sales tax exemption. Part of what the sales tax is estimated to be for this project would be roughly $38,000 for both the city and the county that you would not receive as a result of the renovation. You're not losing anything. You're not receiving any new sales tax for the cost of those materials that they would be purchasing. The general timeline for this IRB process is that we received the application. We had a cost benefit analysis produced by WSU. We met with the Economic Review Committee, which includes your school district, county, and city staff, as well as our consultants, and reviewed the outcome of that cost benefit analysis, then published the public hearing notice, brought that to you this evening. And then once this makes it through this process, if it's approved, they would begin renovation in May. Beyond that, once the renovations are complete, then we would issue bonds and then eventually close the bonds down the road. It's hard to put a timeline to that because we don't know exactly what that timeline might look like for that renovation. If you have questions about this, I want to touch on one more thing. Related to the property tax abatement request, when we when we do a cost benefit analysis, one of the benefit to cost ratio is produced that shows if each of the taxing agencies will benefit from this project. I think that's a very important factor for everyone to understand, in that when you do that, you're taking into consideration what the project not only brings new to the community, but also what's happening during the time of construction. So ultimately, in the end, you want the number itself, you want to be higher than 1. The number was incredibly higher than 1. I don't know what the exact number was. So that was one of the pieces of information we shared with the school district and the county. And ultimately, at the end of our conversation, everyone was comfortable bringing this to you for your final consideration. And as I said, we have people here who can help answer questions about the renovation itself or the IRB process itself and the timeline or impacts.
Thank you, Director Landis. Could you just quickly touch on, people may see that, we issue municipal bonds for projects we want to do. There's a bond mentioned here. If this project falls through, would the city be liable? Could you just touch on and clarify that when people read bonds, what that kind of really means for the citizens of Ottawa as opposed to Sunflower?
That's a really great question. I'm going to attempt an answer, and Kevin can help if he wants. So these bonds are issued under the city's name, but the buyer of the bonds is a bank that the ownership group themselves will bring to the table. So ultimately, in the end, there isn't a high risk to the city for the issuance of those bonds. It's really just a mechanism to be able to proceed with the loan process for the project. Kevin can really help.
Yeah.
Again, Kevin Cowan with Gilmore and Bell. I just want to add that by statute, when you issue industrial revenue bonds, as a city, you are prevented by law from pledging any general city revenues to make a payment. And that has to be printed on the bond itself. So the only thing you will pledge is what's generated by the facility itself, which are lease payments. If there was a default, it's the facility itself. But again, by law, that's it. No access, no pledge of other city revenues. And so you're really just a conduit here. If there was a default, I can't promise you there wouldn't be a negative newspaper article or something like that, but you're not going to have any impact on the city's creditworthiness or the city's revenue stream or financial condition. And again, that's by law. Even if you wanted to do that, you would be prevented from doing so.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. I think, in economic development, there's a lot of terms, bonds are thrown around, and just, to let people know that this won't be $8 million that taxpayer funds are going to have to pay for
Yeah.
if there's a risk.
That's
So thank you.
100% accurate.
Thank you for clarifying that. And Director Lantis, could you touch on, with the pilot, property tax assessed valuations are figured differently on projects such as this, correct? It's not a 25% like a commercial project or 11% assessed value that residential would have for what they would be paying.
Correct. So your ownership group will submit an income expense questionnaire or statement to your county appraiser annually, and that determines how the county can value that property annually. So you're right, it's not appraised the exact same as any other commercial or residential property.
And that's by state statute, not local statute, correct?
Yes, there are appraisal standards that require for any low-income project such as this, that's how it has to be valued.
Thank you. And with the public hearing open, we are open if anyone from the public would like to make any comments, raise concerns.
Director Landis, can you go to the timeline, please? Is the date correct, May 14th, that they want to begin renovations tomorrow?
Well, if this were approved this evening, then we would send everything to the state. They would issue a project exemption certificate for the sales tax exemption. It will take some time. I think this is just illustrating that after this approval process, then they could begin the process of eventually constructing.
I didn't want anybody to expect dumpsters drop tomorrow and you guys getting to work.
Okay, hearing, kind of a final call for any public comments. You got, sorry, may you come up to the, so we can hear you.
What is the delta between what we would normally receive as tax revenue versus what the revenue as proposed would be?
And sorry, before you go, could you state your name for the record?
Norm Griffith.
Thank you.
That's a great question. So I think on average right now, because as I stated, it does fluctuate from year to year. It's been roughly 32,000, 34,000, 36, 38. But it has fluctuated between years. So there will be some years where the 40,000 that they're going to make a payment for is more than what that tax amount would have been. And there will be some years and where their tax statement would have been higher than what that 40,000 is going to be. The benefit for both the city and the owner group is by having that static amount, we know exactly what's coming from that property year over year, and they also know what they're going to have to pay year over year, especially given the type of project that it is. But it is roughly the same. When we began our discussion, the amount was 35,000, and after further discussion about the need to maybe not do the property tax abatement piece of this. They were willing to make a little bit higher payment for that confidence to their investors that there is an annual set amount that they would be paying over time.
Thank you. Director Landis, as you had mentioned, this is a LIHTC project. So could you kind of explain, are they able to come in, make these much nicer and just, you hear horror stories about jacking rents through the roof where people can't afford. Can you touch on how that is affected by this being a LIHTC project?
Let's let them
No,
answer. if
perfect.
That's okay.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Mayor
thank
and Commissioners. My name is Matthew Danner, here on behalf of the developer Ottawa Sunflower LLC, 1440 Erie Street, North Kansas City, Missouri. The LIHTC piece of it is, LIHTC's a funding mechanism that, allows tax credits to flow and equity to flow in to substantially rehabilitate developments like this. And with those tax credits, there's income and rent restrictions that we have to abide by, based on various AMI levels of our tenant population. This one specifically is a HAP contract, project-based Section 8. So the government sets those rents and pays those directly to the development. So no, we don't have the ability to change rents.
Thank you. And thank you for talking about that. There's a lot of state funds for MIH, LIHTC, all these things that it's confusing. And just to put people's minds at ease, if they have a family member who is currently in those units, that they're in 2 years or whenever this project may be done, they're not getting a surprise for, what that might look like. And that's part of the reason you guys are looking for incentives is to kind of, bridge that gap.
That's correct. And the property tax piece truly is, we've got, investors, equity investors, and we've got debt on these properties. And so to the extent that we can have some certainty about what our annual operating costs will be, allows these to operate more efficiently. These don't generate a ton of cash flow. It's really a preservation of housing. And, there's a little bit of cash flow to cover, management costs and operating costs. But, other than that, it's not some huge moneymaker. There's no windfall. So this building was built in 1978, and this would be the first substantial rehabilitation of it in the last 48 years. So
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for your interest and, the substantial funds you guys are putting forward to improving, like you mentioned, 60 units. Are all 60 units a one-bedroom unit?
that's correct.
Okay, so 60 one-bedroom units in the community as well. So thank you for that. And then if you guys either have, while we have the public hearing open, want to make any other comments, or if anyone else would like to.
You guys have any questions?
I'd say hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 5:07.
Matthew, I will remind you that Commissioner Allen and I like to remind people that 1978 is not that old.
No, it really isn't. I remember.
That's it.
I
That's it,
remember
yeah.
it like it was yesterday.
I'll be living there before long.
That'll take us to item 11D, resolution determining the advisability of issuing taxable industrial revenue bonds for the Sunflower Plaza project. This resolution will determine the advisability of issuing taxable industrial revenue bonds in the approximate principal amount of $10,700,000 to finance the acquisition and total rehabilitation of the Sunflower Plaza Tower Apartments located at 701 South Poplar Street, including building systems, residential units, common areas, plumbing, mechanical systems, elevator upgrades, roofing, and electrical upgrades. We will have Director Landis back for this as well.
So this is your formal consideration of moving forward. Pretty straightforward step. If you've looked at the resolution, it just recites the facts as you've just described them, what the project is. I will add that and this was referenced earlier, the total project cost is $10.7 million. The bond amount that should be approved in the resolution is $8 million. And the difference is just some of the soft costs that are involved in this, interest during construction and things that don't need to be covered by bond proceeds. So If you adopt this resolution today, and this again was referenced earlier, it's going to allow the developers to proceed. It will allow the city to apply for the sales tax project exemption certificate. This resolution of intent is one of the prerequisites to that. You'll note that the property tax abatement and the payment in lieu of taxes agreement are approved as to form, and that's the 10-year abatement, except you're going to make a $40,000 payment in lieu of taxes, which will be applied exactly the same way taxes would be applied. So I think I'll stop there, but that's just the next step. And again, there'll be a flurry of activity right after this, including construction soon. And then in terms of the bonds, it's probably sit and wait for a while until they are completing the project, and then the bonds will be issued.
Thank you, and thank you for mentioning, if anyone has the agenda from the website open, it has the $8 million listed in the resolution as opposed to the agenda item. So thank you for that. So with this, when we submit this, does this go to the state for final approval once we?
It is part of the application for the sales tax project exemption. There's no approval. The state doesn't have to approve the incentives that you offer, but it is needed for that sales tax exemption. And then again, it sets the stage for granting a property tax abatement. Eventually, that was the purpose of the hearing and the cost benefit analysis. So this checks all of the prerequisite boxes to do the things that are necessary. But in terms of state approving anything, it would just be the sales tax exemption, and they do require this. They want to know it's a real project and it's moving forward.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep throwing a lot more questions at you. Were it to be the case that something is found in this building that they may not know today that increases their cost exorbitantly and they're unable to do the project, what would that look like if that's in 12, 18 months from now, that they come in and realize, hey, there's $5 million extra that we did not know about in maybe structural repairs or something they may find in a building?
I think impacts this group very little based on what we're talking about tonight. I mean, it's a community concern, as any of those things are for you. It could be a non-bond project where you want to know what's going on. I suspect the developer group would have to decide, what are we going to do now? If it becomes more expensive, they probably have to come back to the city and talk about that. Hey, it's not going to be an $8 million project. For bonds, it's going to be $9 million. We'd have to repeat or amend some of these proceedings, but that's about it, other than sort of your consideration of, well, this is an important building in the community and we want to know what's going on. But as it relates to the bonds, it doesn't change much unless they would need to ask for more in terms of incentives to keep it going forward, and that would require additional considerations and proceedings.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for staff or bond counsel or the applicants? Or how would we like to proceed on item 11D?
I think it's a difficult pill to swallow sometimes when you look at the number of, the sales tax exemption would result in the forfeiture of $241,300. It's difficult to think like that. But if you think about that building coming to a point of not livable, if it continues to do that, because we don't, allow this, project to move forward, and those 60 tenants have to move, and they may be moved to a new community, then that's the sales tax we lose from them also. Or, the gas that they buy every day, or the trips to Walmart or Price Chopper, or wherever they may go. So it to me, I think that is more substantial than looking at the number of the $241,300. The 4%, we could actually not lose any. I mean, if that number stays below that $40,000. So the property tax is not really a concerning thing. If you look at the sales tax, it could be, but if you think of it as the snowball effect, it's beneficial.
Commissioner Crowley, if I could just make one note there. So that $240,000 includes the state's portion of sales tax as well as the city and county. So the city and county, as far as your local sales tax would be impacted, is roughly $76,000 to $78,000.
So even better, quite
Yes.
honestly. It's not as difficult pill to swallow, but still it's a
Yeah.
it's a significant amount of money.
Sure.
But certainly easily recouped over 60 tenants staying in our community.
And I think it would be important to note, I don't have a family member living there, but many people who have a family member who live there, if it goes away, we may be losing more people than just the people who live there as well. And more than just that, in a self-serving manner, the impact on their life, potentially having to find somewhere to live when there's nothing else available in town and leaving as well.
Well, I would like to thank you, gentlemen, for making this commitment to our community. I've heard, I do know a few individuals that live there, and they've mentioned the elevator issues. And certainly a benefit to those individuals that living there would appreciate the elevator being fixed and working every day. Saying that, I would like to make the motion we approve item 11D.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? I'll just, echo that sentiment as well. The folks who live in these places, a lot of times there's not other places that they are able to go easily. And so keeping this as an amenity and obviously improving their quality of life by improving so many of the things in that building, I think it's important. So thank you guys. You aren't putting nothing up as well. So I think that's always fair. You're asking something of us, but you have a lot of skin in the game. And so thank you for your interest in the community as well. Any other discussion? May I have roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Van Lieden?
Yes.
How do you vote, Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
Mayor Clayton?
I vote yes. Motion passes. Thank you, guys. And thank you, staff and bond counsel.
We are trying to do them like 10 at a time so we can go.
Yep.
We're not all just.
Hey, can you say that to the mic,
Yeah.
just in case anybody's listening, so they hear that? Just so we're.
We're doing construction, so over the last couple months, as we've started to get closer to getting there, we've not, any vacancies we've left vacant in hopes that we could put this capital stack together to make these improvements. And with your vote tonight, that really helps us square this up so we can go with the state of Kansas and finish up our financing along with our investors that buy the tax credits, et cetera, and put it all together. So with the 10 vacant units we have right now, we'll start on them. And then as we move, people won't move them out. We'll move them into a new unit. It's remodeled. And not just the elevator, that boiler.
Yeah.
Oh, we know.
The elevators.
It needs some help. So we appreciate the support from the community and thank you guys very much.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. That'll take us to item 11E, review of 2027 operating budget. The proposed 2027 operating budget for the airport, special parks, special alcohol, economic development, special sales tax, land bank, and opioid funds will be presented by Director Landis. You need to bring a chair or a stool up there.
I promise that we have broken this up into hopefully a manner in which we can just do these piece by piece as we move through the budget process. I know this looks like a lot of funds, but these are actually our easiest funds to bring to you. So as a reminder for anyone who might be listening, we have entered our budget season and we are in the very first actual conversation about budgeted funds tonight. We have reviewed the capital improvement program at one of your previous meetings, and we'll move through this calendar as we get towards the July date when we have to send our initial first numbers to the county. The budgets that we are putting together, and as I said, we're moving through each of these, basically starting with the ones first that don't have an impact or aren't impacted by needing to receive our assessed valuation, have major transfers where we're looking at fund balances. And so when we've been putting together our budgets and working through these, we've been keeping in mind the matrix that you all prepared in January of this year. And I just put it on this slide as a reminder that it's out there. These funds that we're presenting this afternoon really aren't directly tied necessarily to all of these directives and priorities that you have put in place. But they, as we work through them, we're keeping these in mind. I wanted to make sure it was in front of everyone. So to start, we have the airport fund. The airport fund is, actually, let me back up for 1 second. These are special revenue funds, and the reason that's important to us is that they have dedicated revenue streams, and there are the expenses that you can have for these funds are specific, either by state statutes or by the adoption or the placement of the fund itself. So these aren't funds where we can just move dollars around to anywhere we want to. So there's a specific reason or purpose for the funds that are coming in, and there's a specific thing that they can be used on. So our airport fund does serve to support the maintenance and the planned infrastructure upgrades at our municipal airport. The revenue streams for this fund are fuel sales and hangar rental splits with our FBO. FBO stands for Fixed Base Operator. We do have contract for that. You're under contract with one now. We do have rental income for this fund, both from commercial and farmland leases, and then it does receive an annual transfer from the general fund. That does fluctuate from year to year based on what's needed, largely for grant matches. The other funding sources that we have been able to bring into this, not to this fund, but to help support all of these infrastructure needs at the airport, is the FAA Airport Improvement Program and the Airport Layout Plan, the Kansas Airport Improvement Program, and that is sponsored through KDOT, and then through federal appropriations, which you've heard of some of those awards here recently. And those are enormous contributions that we can use towards our infrastructure. Our financial summary, I provided this for a couple of these funds, not for every one of them, necessarily to show that in this fund, we're really looking to try and build a little bit of an ending fund balance so that we can do some of those regular maintenance and upkeep items at the airport. The annual transfer is somewhere roughly $100,000 to $200,000 annually, depending on what the general fund can afford to be able to send to the airport fund for those improvements, but then also what's required as our matches for some of these large federal appropriation matches and those grant dollars. So it does fluctuate annually. Right now we have transfers going out to a grant match, to a grant fund to be able to match those dollars. The two biggest projects right now, one underway is the taxiway reconstruction project, which you've been hearing about for the last year plus, and then the new project will be our runway extension, both of which we've received those outside funding sources for. Other than that, there's really not a lot of activity in here. We have an annual payment for our FBO. We do have a few smaller expenses at the airport itself, but largely most of those operating expenses are paid by the FBO.
Sorry, Director Lantis,
Sure.
on that, could you just touch on, so those transfer out, talking about the grant funds, all of that is paid from a separate fund, and that money that's transferred out goes to that fund for our match portion?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a grant fund set up specifically for the airport. So a lot of those grants are sometimes reimbursement grants. So we don't always need to transfer all of the money up front. So we try to level that out so we're not hitting the general fund so hard every year for a transfer in to try and make that offset. So that's why you might see 60,000 in one year and then it jumps to 200,000, but that it's based on the need for the match for those expenditures that are planned for that year.
Thank you.
This just shows you that over time, and once we've kind of gotten past 28 or basically 27 and 28, that those transfers in from the general fund will begin to start building our fund balance. Then we can begin to start looking at some of those other projects that might be out there. We've talked in the past about addition of T-hangers. We've talked about some other just basic improvements needed to the buildings, to the entryway, to all of those things. And this is the fund that would be able to do that eventually. But we need to have an opportunity to build that fund balance. Do you have any questions about the airport funds?
One question on fuel cells, it mentions that we get 10 cents per gallon. That's 10 cents per gallon to the airport fund. We still receive sales tax. Do we receive on the fuel sold?
We receive fuel tax that's built in that we get through an allocation to our street fund. I'm assuming, I don't know how the sales tax comes back to us for fuel
viewed like
bills.
Is it like the same fuel as like at a gas station, or is it something separate being aviation?
It's a different fuel. I'm gonna have to, actually,
Okay.
you know what? It's a great question. Let me find out exactly how that works, and I'll bring that back to you maybe at the top of our next budget discussion, unless one of you want to weigh in.
I don't believe there's sales tax collected on those fuel sales. It's the state tax, the motor vehicle fuels tax that would be collected.
Yeah.
But I think aviation has a separate collection or a separate mechanism. But if it came back to us, it would come back to city county, special city county
Yep.
highway.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the airport? No? Okay. Our special parks fund is dedicated to making those larger improvements to our parks and trails. It does have two dedicated revenue sources, which is 1/3 of the liquor tax. That liquor tax is also split between the general fund and the special alcohol fund. And then we also collect park development fees in here for any property that doesn't have a dedicated park space in their platting process. We would receive a fee for each one of the lots when they pull a building permit. This fund has largely, in the last couple of years, what we've been contributing funds towards is largely matches for some of the projects that are happening. Right now, we have in the current year a couple of trail grants going on. We've got the Flint Hills Trail paving, Prairie Spirit Trail paving repair, the sidewalks at Forest Park, and trail signage. So our grant match is expected to be spent out of this fund in 2026. In addition to that, this fund has also been holding the dollars received from the sale of the lots at Lakeside, and that pathway project will come underway both this year for design and next year for construction. And then this just kind of shows you that our fund balance, what that might look like over time. So as we begin to build our fund balance here in this fund, we intend that would then be able to be used towards the next priority parks project that's on our list. Assuming we don't get any grant funds for that project, then we would use some of those cash dollars for, I believe the next one is the tot lot at Forest Park. That's been kind of assigned as the next priority. Right now, it's sitting on a future project listing in the CIP, just waiting for either grant funding or cash to be available for that project. Do you have any questions about the Special Parks Fund?
Don't think so.
All right, our special alcohol fund I mentioned receives 1/3 of the liquor tax. It's here as an initiative, a fund to be used as an initiative for drug abuse resistance education or our DARE program. And so we do transfer this money out every year back to our general fund to help offset the cost of our DARE. Our police officer is dedicated to our DARE programming and the activities that are related to drug education. And so really we keep a lower fund balance in here. And again, we roughly only get the same amount of liquor tax annually. And so we have just budgeted that very conservatively. We transfer out the same amount every year to the general fund. And that's really all this fund is there for, the collection and redistribution at this point. Our economic development fund is one that it collects revenues from a variety of sources. However, those sources are not a steady stream of income. We do have in here incentive applications or administrative fees for any incentive application that comes to you. We do have a little bit of rental income in here, and then anyone who has a public infrastructure project, those expenses are paid from here and then reimbursed by that developer. And so when we look at the financial projection for this fund, you can see that the out years, the fund balance tends to drop slightly, but the purpose for that is us not anticipating new revenue coming in here until it actually occurs or there's an active project where new revenue might come to us. So we're forecasting very conservatively here. We want to make sure we know what is available in this fund for projects that come to us. We do make an annual transfer, or we have for the last 2 years, and are proposing again an annual transfer to the golf course fund for the operations there. And other than that, the only other activity in here is the city engineer expenses for development review in the planning department. Do you have any questions about the Economic Development Fund?
Do we have an idea, or do we plan for the transfer to the golf course fund to kind of continue out of this fund in perpetuity? Kind of just annually, or are we hoping to eventually kind of transfer that to a different funding mechanism?
So we began that with kind of a split between the general fund and the Economic Development Fund. So the monies that are here are not a result of tax collection in any way. And so we were trying to split the impact of that. And so that transfer from the general fund, we're hoping to be able to decrease with increased revenue at the golf course, and then hopefully eventually be able to decrease this transfer as well. We have not, I didn't show it as being a transfer going forward. We need to talk more about where the golf course fund lands. In the past, we've talked about, does it belong in the general fund? Does it still belong in a special revenue fund? How do we want to tackle that? So for the moment, and until we have that golf course discussion, I did not forecast that out any further here.
So this portion of the transfer to the golf course is not property tax funded.
Correct. This fund does not receive any property taxes or sales taxes.
Thank you.
Our wastewater treatment plant sales tax fund, this was put in place when we had the special sales tax at the 1/10 of a cent that ended in 2024. And so what's remaining, the funds remaining in here are used to make debt payments against that existing debt. And it will continue out until those funds are no longer available, which I believe is around 2030, possibly 2031. And then the remainder of those debt payments will go back to the wastewater fund to be continued to be paid through 2034. This is the debt summary here. It's approximately $120,000 payment a year coming from this fund, but it's really just holding those dollars and accruing investment interest until those bonds are paid off. Same with the Proximity Park Sales Tax Fund. This is the fund that was established to hold the special sales tax dollars that came in the half-cent sales tax used for the Proximity Park debt originally. As you can see, we have our annual transfers to debt service do decline in 2027 because we're paying off 2 of our open debt issuances, and we'll have 1 remaining. At this time, we're trying to decide if it's best for us to just pay off that debt or if it's better for us to continue to invest the dollars that are in this fund or that would be used for that debt payment at a higher rate than what we're paying the interest on this fund, and decide if we can bring in some extra dollars towards that debt payment sooner, faster, pay it off, and then what's remaining can be used for any additional infrastructure improvements to the Proximity Park and surrounding areas for development. This is a listing of the outstanding debt. Again, that 2020A is the one it's a USDA loan, so it goes all the way out to 2050. So deciding whether we want to leave that on the books until then, or if there's an appropriate point in the future where we want to call that debt with the funds that are available is we need to do some more financial analysis there to see what the best decision is. Any questions on this fund?
So again, sorry to reiterate on it, just to clarify, the reason we are choosing with the sales tax collected to not pay off the debt is because we are making more in interest than if our interest rate is 3%, we are making in investments 5%, 4%.
Yes.
So we are actually making money by holding the money, making annual payments. That isn't costing us any more.
Yes. So the minimum interest we're making on our investment income right now is 3.25%. The interest rate on the outstanding debt right now is 2.125%. The land bank fund is one that we established a few years ago when we purchased the land at the Coves and at Lakeside, and we were able to turn around and then sell those. This balance that's left in here is really just to keep the fund open in case there are other opportunities in the future to purchase property that would benefit the city overall. So it's really just holding for now, but it is a budgeted fund, so we're letting you know what the balance is there. The opioid settlement fund, you had a presentation from Chief Weingartner earlier this year talking about what the opioid settlement fund can be used for. This is just settlement payments that come to us from the state of Kansas, so they do fluctuate. We have an estimate from them as to what it could be over time. We have zero guarantee as to what those amounts really will be. So we haven't made any expenses up until this point. And I believe that there are some planned expenditures that will be brought to you later yet this year that might decrease the value, the fund balance that's in there now, and then it'll begin to accrue again over time as new payments are received. And I can answer any questions. Our department heads can answer any questions you might have about these funds.
You know, you probably won't know the answer, but just to get it out there, do you know when the presentation was? So if someone's watching and has questions about opioid fund, that we can direct them to the date. We probably won't know this week without looking it up when it was, but
I apologize.
I figured you didn't. But as you mentioned his presentation, if no one has watched that and is curious about the fund.
It was in 2026 for sure.
Yeah.
It's just a couple
Yeah.
months. Yeah. So February, March. Yeah.
But we'll find it and throw it in the minutes so that way it's available.
Perfect. We can do that.
Just for the sake of accuracy and completeness, I had a chance to do a little more research on avgas, aviation gas. It is actually the opposite of what I thought it was. It is taxed with sales tax, 6.5% to the state, and local up to 5%. We collect the 10-cent gallonage tax. It is exempt if it's used for agricultural purposes, and it is exempt if it's for interstate travel.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Is that 10 cents we collect sales tax, or is that 10% on it? And then do you know?
I believe that's our cut from the fixed base
From the fixed-
operators'
okay.
profit.
Correct. Any other questions?
Mayor, it was on January 15th.
January
The
15th, okay.
Presentation happened.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. That would be good information if someone wants to watch. There was a lot of information presented on what that can go to, what funds it from the state level.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions about the special funds from today? I don't think so
Thank
for
you so
today.
much.
Thank you. That'll take us to item 11F. Consider approval for a land use agreement with J.C. Freedom Enterprises for use of city property located on Kingman Road. This agreement provides temporary use of city-owned property on Kingman Road for the 2026 fireworks season. Will be presented by City Attorney Finch. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Now for something fun, fireworks. We are coming up on fireworks season. For the past several years, this tenant has asked and received permission from the City Commission to rent the property there at the corner of Kingman Road and 59 Highway. A lot of people might know this as the old Andy Siding business there, just across from the, I think it's Hanson's Used Cars there on the north side of that intersection. So this lease is the same lease that you approved last year, $1,500 for the use of the premises for about 2 weeks for the purpose of selling fireworks. Per your earlier discussion this year, you opted not to allow sales within city limits. This property is owned by the city, but it is not within the city limits. It has not been annexed, and there are no ongoing discussions about annexation. So the tenant asked us to bring this forward to you and see if you would be open to entering into the lease agreement for the 2026 fireworks season. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
And looking at the map, it's the same location that it's been for several years at least that we've seen the
Exact same
map's
spot,
location.
exact same terms that you've seen the last year or so.
Yeah, same renter.
Yep.
Mhm. Yep.
Have we had anybody else reach out to inquire about this
We have not.
location?
We have not had anyone else ask about the spot or about using the property for this purpose for fireworks. I will say that one of the things that the tenant did let us know is they may be in part of an acquisition by a larger company, may be taking them over, but that would be the only other party that may be relevant if that acquisition's completed prior to this 2026 season. But
Thank you. Do we have any other questions, or how would we like to proceed?
I move that we approve item 11F in our agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? May I have roll call, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
How do you vote, Commissioner Van Leeden?
Yes.
And how do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
How do you vote, Mayor Clayton?
I vote yes. Motion passes. Thank you, City Attorney Finch. That'll take us to item 12, comments by city manager.
Honorable Mayor and Commission, the wind pile at Orlis Cox, I believe has been removed, and it's now a giant mulch pile. So we'll be working on that in the next week or so. Once that mulch pile is removed, we'll be spreading some gravel in there to kind of make up for the use of the area. So thanks for everyone's patience on that, and thanks to our Public Works crews for getting that handled in a rapid manner this week. We completed storm pipe replacement on 10th Street. Got some photos there for you. And then we've so far reset 27 headstones at Highland Cemetery. At the OMA on May 8th, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas presented a check for $50,000 to the Auditorium. This will go to support the development of a community incubator kitchen project at the Auditorium. So thanks to city staff who worked on that. Utilities, water distribution crews completed the 4th Street water line project. Water reclamation staff addressed lift station maintenance issues. Upcoming events here, Saturday, May 16th, got USD 290 high school graduation at the stadium at 7 o'clock p.m. USD on May 18th, USD 290 middle school promotion at the stadium at 7 p.m. Thursday, May 21st, music bingo at the OMA at 7 p.m. And Friday, May 22nd and Saturday, May 23rd, Annie the Musical at the OMA, both days at 2 o'clock p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. Upcoming items for the 10 a.m. meeting next week, recognition of outgoing Planning Commissioner Crowley, minutes from the May 13th commission meeting, Finance Monthly Report for April of 2026, have our partner agency reports for April of 26, interview for Board of Zoning Appeals, and 4 interviews for the one vacancy on the Planning Commission. Big Bear Project Exemption Certificate, and then consider ordinance related to potentially dangerous and vicious dogs. Still have openings with the city. So the community development director position that is open until filled now. We will be reviewing another round of applicants on June 15th is the next milestone date, but keeping that open and encourage folks to continue to apply for that. Likewise, we have a police officer position that's going to be open until filled. Maintenance worker, April 1 through October 1. That's for Parks and Cemetery. That closes on June 11th. Seasonal grounds worker, that's going to close here on May 15th. Take any questions?
Thank you for that. One question I guess would be for Director Sneeden. I had it written down before, but I saw that the 4th Street repair is done. I was curious if you could touch on that. I think that was related to the issues we had with the pressurization and then expanded from there.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Thank you for the question, Mayor Clayton. Yes, that was one of our lines that we unfortunately had an issue with once we tried to put that tower online. It had multiple deterioration spots on it to where they wrapped it and then they turned the water back on and had to wrap it again with a bigger wrap. And then they decided, our distribution superintendent, Justin Carey, made the decision that that pipe was no longer a viable source of water for that area. And we needed to get it removed and remediated as soon as possible. So we went ahead and issued the one-call system almost immediately after that and had the pipe in stock already. So we made those repairs and that whole section is done. The second half of that piece has not been started yet, but will be very shortly from Oak all the way to, I believe, Mulberry.
Thank you. That was the only question I had. Did anyone else have questions
Nothing
for
I'm
the city
thinking.
manager? I don't believe so. Thank you. Before we move on to item 13, I did want to jump back since we have, I did not want to forget going back to the board appointments to item 11A for a discussion on that.
My, when you're splitting hairs, my only concerns that I have with each of them, I know Angela just mentioned that she had had back surgery, so, you know, how long is that going to persist? And could that take her away from any of those meetings? Mike made the comment that he had missed a couple shows because he had to work. So would that also result in him missing some meetings? So I don't, like I said, great applicants. I think both of them would be wonderful for the board. Those are just the two faults that I found, you know, after thinking about it.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Crowley. I'm a little concerned about Angela's back, and that, if I'm not mistaken, they still meet on the mezzanine.
And without a chairlift or an option there, you know,
Yeah,
it's
at
on
this
CIP,
point, yeah,
but
I
at
know
this
that's,
point.
yeah.
I will say we did confirm there were no current openings on the Friends of the OMA board, but certainly let one of them know that they can keep that in mind for the future.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, the same thing. I think obviously Mike's schedule is irregular, and depending on how that falls, I could see that being something that may, you know, without other options, miss potentially several of those meetings. I would be one to say, you know, if Angela has accessibility issues to where the current meeting's held, I would assume that board would work to accommodate meeting somewhere if there was a person on that board who's physically unable to get to the meeting space. As you said, I think both would be terrific candidates.
And Angela's eventually going to heal, you know, and hopefully be able to access the, you know, the mezzanine if that's
Yeah.
the case. Where hopefully Mike doesn't leave the fire department, you know,
Yeah.
and he always has that problem of possibly missing, you know, a board meeting. So that being said, I would lean more towards Angela.
Commissioner Van Leeden and Allen,
Yeah, I don't know. Either one would be great. Like I said, they both may have issues with meetings, just, you know. But I'm good either way.
Yeah, it's tough when you have two really good applicants for one position. Yeah, I would be fine with Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Crowley's suggestion as well. I think both would be great, and I hope that they keep an eye out for openings on the other board because I do think that they could both bring really good things to the board. But, I mean, me serving on it, I see what the potential is, and they could both give some really good ideas.
Yeah, I was on that board for 6 years.
Okay, I as well. I will, you know, I think Angela would be a great option for the board. You know, and hopefully with Mike, we can utilize him. I do want to say with Mike applying, I really appreciate someone on city staff looking to be involved in a larger capacity in things in the community. And so that's always great to see. But I think, I would go with Angela as well for this term and communicate. Obviously, we say this a lot when we have great candidates, to communicate to Mike that we would, you know, love his application again or interest if in a year when another position is up or if something comes available on Friends.
I'll make the motion.
Tiffany might be able to reach out to him too, if something, or so. Are you still on Friends? Yeah.
I'll make the motion. We appoint Angela to the OMA board.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Will staff reach out and let both of them, perfect. Thank you. Let both of them know. That will take us to item 13, comments by the governing body. We'll start with Commissioner Allen.
I have no comment.
Commissioner Van Leeden.
Well, I just want to say that tub grinder was awesome watching that thing work. That thing was amazing. And they cleaned that mess up in a hurry. And I gotta think the mulch, did they get it all gone today? Or out of the parking lot? If not, they had to be close. But will they still hauling? But anyway, good job on getting that thing set up and get that cleaned up so quick. So, yeah, it was a nightmare over there last night trying to park for ball games and practices. So I'm sure the ORC will appreciate it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Crowley.
I have no comment.
I will save us from sitting here for another 20 minutes, but it's long meetings like this are fun ones. It's exciting to see. We said it last week, public comments, having people come and voice questions or concerns that they have. And then obviously our community partners, it's great hearing from you guys, everything you do for the community, and hearing about construction work hopefully planned for the community for some folks, and getting started on the budget. It's exciting. So thank you for everyone and your time, and staff. We'll say this many times in the next few months. Thank you for all the time you guys put in towards that as well. And I do not have anything other than that. That'll take us to item, oh gosh, what do we have? 14 announcements. The May 20th, 2026 commission meeting will be here in City Hall at 10 a.m. next Wednesday. May 27th, 2026 commission study session will be here at 4 p.m. in City Hall. And the June 3rd, 2026 commission meeting will be here at 7 p.m. in City Hall. Nothing else to come before the commission, we will adjourn.